Good evening. I'll call to order the public portion of the April 7th, 2025 Wareham Board of Selectmen meeting at 7:30 p.m. We started this evening at 6:30 with a non-public session with Umbral IT for training. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone here for public comment this evening? Is anyone here for public comment? Thank you.
Good evening, Richard, but I'd like to just discuss some of the articles that are on the warrant that failed. And first I want to start with Park and Rec. I had an article on there to increase the stipend by $1,600. That failed. And so I believe that was justified based on an increase in responsibility. And I noticed that the job description on the town website, I'm assuming that reflects additional responsibilities. So I don't understand how you could advertise for that with additional responsibilities that was used to justify this increase of $1,600. Either you can do it for that or you can't. So maybe the job description needs to be modified to show fewer responsibilities. I don't know. That shouldn't have been on the warrant anyway. Should have been just part of the operating budget, because now you can't use that. You can't do it. I don't care if there's $20,000 left over in the Park and Rec budget. The voters said no. We're not going to give you $1,615 to increase the director's pay. So it's done. It should have been the operating budget. If the operating budget failed, you could still move money around in the operating budget to show that increase, to reflect that increase. Police Department, Article 6, stipend for the detective. It's another one that probably should have been in the operating budget. I've never seen articles with this few dollars on the warrant. $5,000 to create the detective's position or assignment. Voters said no. That means he cannot create that position or that assignment. And there's no money available because the voters said no. We're not going to allow you to do that. That should have been in the operating budget. Even if the operating budget didn't pass, you could have moved money around to cover that cost. But the voters said no. We're not going to allow you to create a detective's position or assignment. It's dead in the water, I guess. Two other things with the police department. The health and safety of the officers. There was an initiative to provide them with some service. That failed by that was $7,000. So there's nothing he can do to make up for that because the voters said no. And the tasers. I don't know why they were out there sitting on as a separate article on the warrant. They should have been incorporated in the operating budget. Again, the voters said nope. No, we're not going to give you tasers. If it was in the operating budget, he could move money around to cover the cost of that. I think the board should be overseeing this and providing some supervision assistance to start looking at some of these issues. It's basically when the voters say no, it means no. Can't do it. The other thing is raises. Statements were made as part of the literature sent out to the voters by the Finance Committee saying that there was going to be, the distribution of funds was going to be done by some other, by not across the board. I'm assuming the board hasn't done anything on that. I'm assuming that everybody got a 3% increase. I'm assuming that. Even though back in December, assignments were made to selectmen to do performance reviews for the town administrator, the police chief, fire chief, and DPW director. Those are under your control. The statements were made at the deliberative session. Well, if they're available and we get all the reviews in time, we can distribute money based on merit. However, our backup is 3%. That's based on about 58 employees, you getting input and having enough time to go through them. I can see that being a problem. But 4 department heads, controlled by you, getting the reviews done, before I go any further, I'm going to ask a question. Did you do reviews for the department heads, and was the money distributed to department heads based on merit? Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Campana. I have 2 things, and they're both on the agenda tonight. The first, not specifically, but this is in regards to the on-call bonus. I had a chance to speak to Jason out, not quite a long time out before we came into the room. So I'm curious to know in the, there's a dollar amount, there's a line. I'm using this here as a reference that was handed out with the municipal budget summary 425. The highway department, there is and there has been an on-call bonus line. It's been at $4,200, that's the default. And the proposed budget, which did not pass, requests $14,000. Which is a $9,800 $9,800 increase. As I say, I didn't get a chance to speak to Jason too much. He went as far as we could. So that $9,800 increase, or the $14,000, either one, has the board, and I don't necessarily need an answer tonight, but has the board determined a dollar amount per person for the bonus? And if that $14,000 is a correct amount, what the board has decided on, where are you going to get the $9,800 increase from? I know there seems to be plenty of money in the budget. There was a budget, an overall budget presentation by the finance administrator, and there is a moderate amount of surplus that she predicts, at least up till now. So again, where's that money coming from? And then my second question is still a comment, and more to my point, I've mentioned it before. It's still a highway department. On the agenda tonight is a request for the support to hire somebody for the support software for the highway department, which is a new line. I'm not questioning the merit of it. That's another discussion. But I have 2 numbers. $10,000 as in the budget proposal, but back in last December, 31st of December, the board, and this is my issue, the board authorized $15,000 of budget surplus from last year for asset software. And in parentheses, the first year setup and support was the $15,000, and then there's a $9,000 annual fee for that. And again, more to my point, is by funding that through year-end purchases, you have committed me as a taxpayer, and every other taxpayer, whether they care or not, another thing. But you have committed me to that expense of $9,000 a year, forever, I guess. It'll probably increase next year, probably increase the year after. So you've committed me to that increase, that obligation, without me having the chance to say yes or no on it. And I think that's a poor practice. Maybe it's been done before. Most year-end purchases are, kind of like a one-time thing. And or a purchase. I'll use the easy example. The police chief comes in and wants a little more money, year-end purchase for ammo, yet he has an ammo line, and, you know, it just increases that a little bit more. So that's my comment as far as the asset, you know, the funding, how it was derived, and the obligation that has committed me forever. And I'd like to not see that happen. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was asked to come here tonight to ask the road agent for an exemption on the 6-ton limit for my road for a delivery on Thursday, the 10th. I haven't had, my oven broke January 1st, and I was able to order an oven from Barron's on February 1st. On March 13th, they were denied delivery. They called the town wouldn't let them deliver on my road because of the limit. I couldn't get another delivery set up anyway, I couldn't get another one set up for a month later, so that's this Thursday. I called them last week and they said, it's not looking good. Town of Ware has been denying us deliveries on the roads, so you're probably going to be pushed out another 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm asking if I could get an exemption for Thursday the 10th so they could deliver it on my road. It's 301 Barnard Hill Road in Ware, so it's just one road right up Route 114, so that's...
Thank you.
You wanna come out in the hallway? I can talk
Oh,
to you.
two?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Personal service.
I don't know how it's gonna go, but hopefully,
I had a call from an angry resident from Barron's not getting permission, and I told him no last week, and that didn't happen, so.
okay. All right. We're gonna go ahead and move on, because I don't know how long they'll be, so. Next on the agenda with the Ethics Committee. You all received a email from Carl Hallstrom, the chair, with 2 items on it. First is their desire to run the equipment for broadcasting the meeting, same as many other committees. This would be a small amount of training at their next meeting, which is April 17th, I believe at 6 p.m. And then the second was how to handle right-to-know requests. Do we have a policy? And if not, what process should they be using? So I guess we can take them in order.
Mr. Halston's not here.
He sent an email. Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it, but we put him on the agenda based on him saying he was gonna be here, right? Doesn't the Ethics Committee have a policy and procedure manual or document they produced?
I know they have lots of policies, yes,
And
so.
I don't think we, the selectmen, should have our fingers on the Ethics Committee in any way. If they wanted to come here to ask for an hour's worth of town council to get counseling on that, I think that would be what they ought to do, and not ask us our opinion.
So, are you talking about the training? I think the training is something that either T.A. Bolton or,
Oh.
I think there's 3 of us here that know how to run the equipment that we could provide for them.
Yeah, so to talk about the equipment training.
Hang on just a second.
Oh,
Is there
sorry.
anything we need to follow up on? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So in terms of running the equipment, I would think that we can, one of us that are familiar with it can offer
Yeah,
that training.
T.A.
and
Bolton.
Or certainly.
Yeah, I meant 3 of us plus T.A.
Yeah.
Bolton. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or certainly getting the cable committee involved in providing training to
So
any,
he as well?
to any other department group that needs to be able to run the equipment. That way, we're not having somebody like our town administrator dedicated to running
Well, is there a
Recordings.
problem with me doing it? All of a sudden, I'm getting kicked to the curb for some reason.
They said that they want to do it like many of the other committees have done. That's what they said a couple weeks ago, so.
'Cause
I told them
I
to let the
never
board
once-
know,
Yeah, I never once raised an issue that I'd never do it.
yeah.
mean, I've
So
always
the
volunteered
issue
to
is
do it.
training right now. It doesn't take long to train them. Do we want the cable
It
committee
doesn't,
to
I
do
just
it?
would like someone to answer why. I mean, it doesn't matter, I've done it from the start to be totally upfront and honest with the tax people, townspeople, to be transparent, that's why I started it. It's one night a month.
Yeah,
I actually do something else in the back of the room, but I don't mind being here.
yeah.
But now,
Well, they want to be treated like some of the other boards that don't have somebody sitting here with them, so I personally think that's okay.
yeah, it doesn't mean I can't come sit in the back either. I mean, I don't know, I guess I'll have to ask them why.
So,
All I can say,
Yeah,
that's
I
what
just,
that's what the email requested.
I mean, if I couldn't make it, that's one thing, I
Yep.
mean, but I didn't mind doing it, but I guess I'll ask the question at their meeting.
so do you want to provide the training, or you want the cable committee to do it, or if,
I can provide it, but I would like to understand why, but that's fine. I
Okay.
don't mind sharing.
all right.
I will be asking why, but
Well,
I've done it for 3 years now.
yeah.
But that's all right.
This also brought to mind the Cemetery Advisory Committee. I don't know if if you know how to run the equipment or not, but I was doing it when I was on Cemetery Advisory, so.
Do they meet Thursday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if it was televised. I thought about that.
it wasn't.
Probably because nobody was trained on how
fault.
to do it, because I was the one doing it. And I didn't think about that until I was preparing for tonight, so I was like, I don't know if there's anybody else,
And on,
so.
and on Park,
we can-
I was doing that.
Right.
Doing it before then.
Yep.
Bruce kind of got trial by fire for that one.
I mean, we could show them too.
Yeah. Okay. So the right to know requests, their specific question was, is there a town policy on how to handle those? I don't think there is.
No, but, and I didn't reply back because I know he had wanted, I guess I thought he was gonna be here or not. But anyway, when anyone ever calls us and asks for a question, we ask them to put it in writing, because then there is a form on the website. There's a form, it gives you the whole RSAs on one side and the other. We ask them to fill the form out. Then it comes back here, and then I know where to distribute it to. But I didn't realize they were getting them directly to themselves. I didn't know that. This sounds like they were getting, it says, we have received right-to-know requests via email without any formal form. I always ask for the formal form, no matter who does it. If they come in to complain to anybody, I have them even hand out a form.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that part. And then they've gotten some with the formal form. And it's not the clerk, it's on the town website with the selectmen's letterhead, but again, we start with the official form, because then they have to write exactly what they want.
It's not something we can require, though.
No, it's not
We have
something,
to be able to handle, like, maybe more to his question, what if somebody doesn't use it? I think we have to be able to answer that question, or
yeah, and he said he's received
don't
them
have
both
to.
ways.
I think it's a valid question, it's maybe more accurate to my point.
So the first question was, there's not a policy on how we handle those. We have a process, but we don't have a written policy that we can hand to them and say, this is how we do it. So I guess that then brings, what I think is the next logical question is, should they be receiving 91As directly or not? They don't have staff, they only meet once a month to go over correspondence. My concern would be timeliness of the reply, but I do think it's probably something we should ask legal. So, I don't know what
Definitely.
you guys think.
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
In the more recent past, this board has received 91A requests of.
Right, and I assume that based on what he wrote here, that there have been others that went directly to them. Now, I don't know if those are pending or filled or what. I have no idea what the status of those are, so don't know if there's something that's out there that they're waiting on this reply for or not, but we can
Okay.
move this over to legal.
And it's my understanding that the right to know requests basically fall to the select board for the ultimate responsibility.
That is
if
my
they
understanding of.
don't get filled out.
The legal prudential affairs of the town fall on this board, not on the individual boards. So I suspect there might be legal guidance that says that, but I don't want to presuppose anything. Let them tell us.
So some of that goes back to Bruce's question about can this board, or how do you police an ethics committee?
I don't think it's policing anything. It would be all right to know requests for the town come through the town administrator. It's not policing anything.
Maybe I used the incorrect term, but if.
So maybe we do need a policy that just says that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, or put it in the Board of
That's why I was-
Selectmen's operation policy, but
I tried to find, I guess they haven't officially finished with their operational policies yet, so there's nothing to look at.
I don't know.
Today.
I don't see anything on the website either, but according to them, they do have stuff.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it finalized.
Okay, anything else? I think that brings us on the agenda to Jason, Director Fisk. We've got 4 policy-ish things and a software bid award. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my.
So what you have there is RFP results for our asset software. I just handed the chair 3 bids that we got back. Novo Solutions, iWork, both ones that you guys saw last year. I know we didn't move forward with that last year, but you did see those. And a new one, Brightly Software. I've had the chance to demo all of these.
You said you had?
I have had the chance to demo all of these. I don't know if you guys want a few minutes to look through that stuff, and if you have any
That's gonna
questions.
take more than a few minutes. 1 copy and a half an inch thick.
One of them is pretty big. I could touch on a few things on each one of them, just breeze through it a little bit for you guys. The Novo Solutions, they are kind of like an all-encompassing software. They have solid waste, highway, they do water and sewer. There's a plethora of things that the town can use as a whole, not just the highway department. All that stuff is included in one kind of basic public works package. iWorks, they are right along the lines of Novo Solutions. You just have to purchase some of the extra packages as far as vehicle maintenance is a more in-depth package to buy for kind of keeping track of your capital improvements, stuff like that, as far as equipment and roads. So that stuff's an extra package, is where it's included in the Novo Solutions. Brightly Software, basically everything's included. They have the capital improvement plan tracking as well, included. I think they are a little less user-friendly than the prior two I was just talking about. I think overall, oh, yep, so the Novo Solutions, those screenshots there are actually an app that's included in that quote there. They call it a one-tap, so you can set up, as you can see, like, 9, 12-ish, quick little one-tap deals. So say you want to mark a pothole somewhere, so you'd take your phone out, go into the app, one-tap, pothole. That's got a pre-made work order set up already. It takes your GPS pin, and then you can take a snapshot of it, and then it's automatically put into the system as a work order with a picture and the exact location.
That would be internal to DPW or with like resident access?
Yeah, so anybody who has access, so
I guess, would residents have access to that kind of?
not that,
Yeah,
no.
okay. Makes sense not to, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got the overloaded
Make sure it's
DPW for
Yeah.
every little crack in the road.
They're all pretty similar. There's not much in these companies that are different, besides kind of the ease of use. I think Nuvo Solutions is right up there as far as the one that's easier to use, and I think that's the real key factor in this. Make sure that the department uses it. I think if we have something that's easy for us to use, that there's no reason why we can't keep up with it.
Now, did you say one of them has the potential to be useful on other, like, building department?
Yeah, so the Novo Solutions, they track everything. I mean, we can make work orders for the building department. They can have a login and do that stuff. We're gonna be able to keep track of maintenance on all the vehicles that we maintain at the highway garage, so police, fire, code enforcement when we do oil changes. That truck's not that old, so there's not major work that's being done to that, but this stuff, it takes the year of the vehicle, what we purchased it for, how much money we've put into it, and it kind of develops a score for that vehicle for your recommendations for your capital improvement plans. Does the same thing for roads, just with a little different process.
And all that's included in the Novo, but
Yeah.
not in the.
It's all, so the iWork stuff for the CIP stuff for the equipment, you had to buy an extra maintenance package.
Is that included in the price?
It's
you have?
included in the price there.
Okay, thank you. Anything we can send on this for you?
And this is, as far as roads go, it's kind of GIS mapping. We can pin signs anywhere, culverts anywhere, any sort of asset that we'd like to track out on the road, we can. So,
Didn't all three do that?
yeah. And
So all three can do basically everything the others can do for the price that's quoted here, including in the extra add-on stuff.
yes, yep. Some do it better, my opinion. But yeah, yep. Yeah, so, it's been explained a lot before the board 100 times by me, I know it, but, you find a culvert on the road, you can pin that, then you can, make any work orders as far as that culvert goes, as inspections or, maintenance that's been done, replacements, whenever that is. So you can pull up that pin and see a history of work that's been done in that one area. So that, in and of itself, is, I think, very valuable for the highway department. Same with vehicles, keep track of All the maintenance parts, we can do all our parts stock. There's kind of a minimum order that'll pop up for your stock if you go in the system. Say I'm grabbing one of these filters. When it gets down to 1 or 2 filters on the shelf, an alert will come up, say, hey, you need to reorder these filters. Basically, get everything running smooth. No double ordering things, no losing signs out in the sign shed. Say 5 stop signs in the sign shed, and hey, you only have 1 left, it's time to order one, instead of, oh crap, we need 2 and we only got 1.
So not, backing up to residents being able to submit stuff, not to the level of you're standing there with an app, just going straight into the ticketing system, but we have talked before about like a form on the website that would kind of hit the first layer that then you or someone would be able to say, yeah, this is legit or not, and then put it in
Yeah,
the system.
so there is a portal with that Nuvo Solutions that you can set that up. There wasn't so many kind of checks and balances like you're talking about, like, yeah, this is worthy. It's kind of like, yep, they put in a ticket for this and it goes into the system. So
You
that,
could have some manual intervention, right, from a form to,
yeah, I mean, me or
Or
the
somebody.
foreman, the secretary would kind of look at that and say, okay, that's obviously a citizen complaint or citizen work order. See if there's any validity to it. But it would be kind of still in the work order queue with everything else. It's not completely separate.
Certainly up in, probably would be best to keep that a manual entry, have people call in with problems, and then you guys enter it in. Certainly until you get everybody familiar with how the software is working.
Yeah.
And then figure out how to
Yeah.
open that up.
Yeah, I think it's certainly something we can do in the future. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's something that's a good idea, as long as it's not something that gets abused.
Put 15 tickets in.
Obviously, we can't be everywhere at once, but,
take that one.
If only.
yeah.
So the Novo, the app you described was the only add-on? There was a base package?
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
is
I
it
think it was like $9.99,
$500? Is
Yeah.
it
$9.95.
really worth that
I think it's pretty handy.
versus,
Well, how many people are actually gonna use an app because nobody has company-owned cell phones, right? Town-owned?
So we have 2 iPads that were used from the fire department. So we have that ability, and then kind of mostly for me and my town cell phone, essentially, for that, going around doing general patrols, and maybe I'm driving through town on a Saturday and I see something. I always have my work phone on me. It's pretty handy. Take a picture. Here you go. It's in the queue for Monday. None of that. Well, I was in my personal truck. I'll remember that by Tuesday, and then that never happens. But certainly something we could take off if it doesn't get used.
yeah, that's, knowing that the app is probably just, I mean, it's just a front for sending the data in the same format that would be available on the website that should be accessible to you anyway is kind of a tough pill for that much money. And I know that puts more of a burden on you, it's like data entry, but it's, in my head, it's like, okay, bookmark, you go there, fill in the same data, submit. But I'm having a picture, what I think the software should look like and not what it actually does look like.
So the picture automatically gives a GPS location though?
Yep, yeah, as soon as you hit that one tap, it pulls your GPS location, makes that work order, and then you have the option that says you want to add a picture, add the picture, then click done, your work order's made up, put in the queue for anybody to go ahead and use.
I guess I see that handy, if you want to do inventory, your culverts and signs and stuff, it just be fast.
Yep,
Take it, your GPS is all done already.
yeah. Certainly the first year for mapping everything will be handy.
No one was gonna thinking about converting your existing spreadsheets.
Yeah, so, all of the road spreadsheet that was done for the, road bond in 2019, we can add that stuff in. It's got all our paved roads, dirt roads on it, their condition.
And look at your actual spreadsheets to see if they'll convert easy enough, they can use them.
Yeah, as long as they're in an Excel spreadsheet, it's fine. They can go ahead and put it in. Same with, vehicle list, VIN numbers, stuff like that. They're gonna go ahead and put that stuff in. We have a small parts list already for kind of our vehicles as far as filters, what they do, so that's all an Excel spreadsheet, so they can put that right in. So when we look under our assets as far as equipment, you know, you can assign filter numbers to that particular vehicle, and if you want to just do a service on that, the mechanic can go in and say, I've done a basic service on T10, let's say, and that pulls all the filters automatically out of inventory, assigns that to a work order. The only thing that we're not really super into at the moment is keeping track of labor hours for that stuff internally. So that would be something that we could start keeping track of better with this software. I think it's prudent as we move forward with police and fire to start kind of keeping track of that. I know it's been kind of said a few times out in public, we have a town mechanic. Why are the police sending vehicles out and stuff like that? But the mechanic's pay is coming all out of DPW budget. When you see the police maintenance bills, there's no labor that's coming out of that. The payroll and stuff all coming out of DPW. So
Saw a Charger down there this weekend.
yep, yep.
If you start keeping track of the hours, we could have them pay for labor.
Well,
Transferred.
I mean, just something to show the board, hey, these are the hours that are
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, or
It's a
just keep a
system to-
tally at the end of the year.
Yeah,
saying this is how
system
much
to
work
keep
we did
track
for
of
the
that
people.
and put it forward to you guys. So we can get the kind of big picture on what's actually going on.
If nothing else, it helps that department head quantify the exact cost of that vehicle.
Exactly, you know, so he may come in here and say he spent $10,000 out of his maintenance line, and that's all been filters and oil. All the labor is actually is not in there, so.
I think it's good information to have regardless of what we decide to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with the highway department, if there's something that we send out,
Right.
Whether it's a major spring repair or anything along those lines, we're getting charged labor on that, we're not charging ourselves. So we're keeping track of the cost of the parts that we put in, not the labor aspect. I know it's all different lines in the budget, depends on how you wanna look at it, but think as far as CIP stuff goes, you wanna look at the big picture, how much it actually costs.
Okay. Any questions other than what we've already said?
Do your recommendations go to Novo Solutions?
Yep.
And the first ticket you're gonna enter is to remove the one, revisit the one tap a year from now?
I can do that if you want.
To remove the software?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay, I was
the-
like,
and
what are you
the
talking about?
$900 charge.
Access for the app.
Yeah, yeah, I, took me a second, but I'm there. Okay, anything else we need to know? No?
No, these guys are all pretty close in price. They're all pretty standard on what they bring to the table. Like I said, usability of both those first options are pretty close for me. I think the fact that Novo Solutions will do kind of a lot of things across town is what drove them up for me into that number one spot. They're a touch higher than the iWork solutions, but on the other hand, the iWork's not doing water and sewer. It's not doing other things that down here at the town hall, code enforcement. So the ladies in the building department, we can set up work orders for driveway permits. There's no kind of emails. Maybe an email gets lost. Maybe an email doesn't get sent. It's right over in this system. So
When we did the proposed budget for this year, we talked about potentially the building software going
Yeah.
away if whatever we pick here is able to do
Yeah.
everything that the building software can. Just, it depends what kind of stuff
Mhm.
happens.
Well,
The other one was,
Don't know yet if it's capable
do you
or not.
think we'd be able to use it for like the emergency operations, anything beneficial over there?
I'd have to
Because
look.
that's kind of ramping up.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that some more, I guess.
Looking at you. So you volunteered for emergency operations.
He's the alternate,
Oh. Well, I think the minutes are wrong.
they are.
But
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not sure how you would apply it for emergency.
Saying, if part of the study that, I'm not thinking the right word, but like the study that comes out that says, hey, these are the things the town should do to be better prepared for emergencies, and we can track those as tickets almost.
There may be a way to,
Yeah.
to mark it as something specific like that.
Well, it's certainly data that we could feed into the software, and then if it, becomes something that we're gonna deal with, you have all of the information that says this would also solve a HMP issue, potentially. So, I think you could probably code it in there somehow.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So. So it looks like this is a one-year contract, it's not more than that, correct?
Yeah, you have the first year and then your annual fee.
Right, but the
So,
initial is 1
yeah.
year.
yep.
Okay. So I think the motion would be to award Novo Solutions 1 year software. Is it called ShareNet Operations Management? Is that what the software is called?
Yep.
I think the motion would be to award Nova Solutions one-year software, ShareNet operations software specifically, plus the Sidekick add-on for $14,995 from the DPW budget. Correct?
Year-end money from last year.
Ah, thank you. That's why we talk about these things, from year-end money last year. Encumbered 2024 end-of-year budget. Okay, would that work? I would accept a motion to award Novo Solutions one-year ShareNet operations software plus Sidekick add-on for $14,995 from encumbered 2024 end-of-year dollars.
So moved.
Would you accept an amendment that clarifies at least the next year is not gonna be at that same rate?
I would clarify. Year 2. Annual fee of $10,945 would come from the DPW budget. Would that be a satisfactory amendment?
Sure.
Okay, anybody oppose the amendment? Restated, award Novo Solutions one-year ShareNet operations software plus Sidekick add-on, $14,995 from encumbered 2024 end-of-year dollars. Year 2 annual fee of $10,945 would come from DPW budget. Is that good?
Oh, yeah, if the motion's
Good with
made, I'll
that?
second it.
Yep.
Okay. Made by Selectman Knapp, seconded by Selectman Bloom. Any further discussions? All in favor, say yes or yay?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, motion passes 500. Do we need another motion for someone specifically to sign this, or is it T.A. Bolton good to sign it?
I can sign it if you want.
I don't, how do you normally do it?
I normally sign
Okay,
for bids.
whatever, if you don't need anything special, that's good.
Nope.
Okay. Okay. Got some policies now.
Yeah. First one on the agenda is on-call. Made the changes, recommendations that we've gone over before. Got rid of that signature page. I don't know if there is,
One little thing.
what do you got?
Just, I don't expect to keep going back and forth. This should be it. There's the response time section. And
Yep.
just maybe reading the whole section so that I think it'll make sense what I'm saying. On-call employees must be prepared to report to the highway department within 60 minutes of being called for service. Response time may vary depending on the weather, and employees should plan accordingly to ensure timely arrival. Given that it's the response time section, you're telling them, be there in 60 minutes, but then saying the response time may vary, I thought it may be more accurate, or I suppose it's a question if you agree, would that second one where it says response time may vary, would travel time may vary? You're
Yeah.
telling them like, you'd better be here in 60 minutes, you gotta plan ahead.
Yep,
Not, we may give you more time.
yep. That makes sense.
What paragraph was that, do you know?
I just wrote down response time section.
5? 4?
4.
That's the only comment I had on that policy.
The only question I have is, given that we're on a default budget, what is the bonus for 2025, 26? Or do we not know yet?
I believe what got presented to you guys last week or the week prior, I don't remember when the finance director came in.
2 weeks ago, I think.
I believe that was presented to you guys at 1,000.
Okay.
As far as I know, you guys approved that much, but clarification would be good. So we don't end up messing that up in the next 2 weeks.
My memory, I don't remember that being specifically called out.
No, we didn't specifically talk about it, that I recall.
Yeah, what I remember was, hey, we have to make up the difference between proposed and default, but let's not reinvent the wheel with the default, let's start with the proposed and cut back from it, but we didn't decide where or how.
I believe in the minutes when we were talking about this, it was put into the minutes that it was gonna be 1,000 when we were talking about this during budget season. And that's why the finance director put that in there for you guys in that last presentation. So that, I believe, the outcome of that was we were gonna do the 1,000 and we are still gonna be within budget for the year. I don't know if any, do you guys have the handout from a couple weeks ago? I didn't get one, but.
I don't have it with me.
Which handout was that? I'm sorry.
Would have been 2 weeks ago. I think she was here 2 weeks ago. So, 21? 24? I don't get my dates wrong.
24. Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
1,000, no.
Yeah, I don't recall specifically talking about that. I recall it, as Selectman Bloom's already stated.
I guess I don't particularly remember when we talked with Beth, but I thought the budget season, we definitely,
Yeah, I know we did, but we didn't get we got a default, we didn't get the proposed budget approved, so that's why I'm asking.
The way the minutes put it is like, that's what was agreed upon. So, me and the finance director kinda went back and forth on it a little bit. Cause we both weren't sure. So,
You're talking the minutes of 2 weeks ago or minutes of
No, no.
like December?
December.
Do you
yeah,
remember
yeah,
what week that would have been?
I do not.
And when do you need to know?
April 15th is technically the cutoff.
it's not in that presentation.
Yeah, I can get with her tomorrow on it. I know she had the minutes pulled up in case there was a question on it there a couple weeks ago. I guess we both just assumed that there was no discussion on it, and it was kinda given to you guys, obviously not something that was noticed, I guess.
Yeah, what you're saying makes sense. The only thing I would possibly, like, I have this nagging thing, it could be crazy that, did we talk about what happens if it's a default budget back in budget season?
I don't recall ever
I-
doing that.
Yeah.
Nothing in the minutes
No,
during
because
that meeting
we were
said
talking
anything.
about the proposed budget, so, I mean, we know it's a,
Well, what did she use when she put that presentation together?
yeah.
Your budget still show the 250, or is it the bigger number from last year's?
Well, the budget still shows the default.
So,
Right, but what was it?
So December 30th, under decisions made, says DPW on-call bonus line 410, Director of Public Works Jason Fix discussed the on-call called bonus structure for DPW staff. Surrounding communities offer financial benefits for on-call services in a variety of structures, average ranging from 500 to 1,000 per employee. Line 410 was set at 1,000 per employee, resulting in a total line item budget adjustment from 35,000 to 14,000.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's disputing that we put that into the proposed budget, but given that we're on a default,
Okay.
what's in the plan, I guess, is more accurate for the question.
Yeah. So I know what was given to you 2 weeks ago had that $1,000 in there. I think you're still sitting on, what was it, like 80-something thousand surplus.
I guess it was, my question was what was budgeted in 20, or default, I understand, but what was in there?
1,000 was in the proposed.
Right, what's in the default?
The 300, I think it's
What
40.
is that's-
Yeah, Frank said it earlier during public comments, like 4,200.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Can we just verify with Beth that what she presented had the 1K in it from 2 weeks ago? She's gonna be here next week to go over Q1 anyway, but she could specifically answer that for us, that'd be great. Okay. Any other questions, comments on the on-call document? Do you need us to sign off on anything? Or is it
I
come out
assume,
under your signature?
no, you guys are gonna put that right into the personnel policy. As far as we talked about the last time, that's why we got rid of that signature page that would be encompassed within that.
Okay. Okay,
Did you guys get a chance to look over that amendment to the personnel policy that I sent you?
I did.
I don't know. I can-
Benji's
I-
shaking his head no, anyway.
I can read it. So under section 5C, which is overtime of the personnel policy, I would like to add a paragraph to include the following. Highway Department personnel who take approved leave during the winter season will have their leave hours counted as hours worked for the purpose of calculating overtime. This means that if an employee has worked overtime in a week where they use approved leave, the hours will still count towards their total hours worked, ensuring they do not lose any overtime pay. This policy allows employees to take their earned time off without penalty while still receiving the appropriate compensation for any additional hours worked beyond their regular schedule. This policy shall be used exclusively to reduce burnout in the highway department. Leave may not be used as a substitute for absence during winter storm operations. Leave shall be defined as all earned time other than sick leave for this section. See the remainder of section 5 to review different approved types of leave.
So my only question would be consistency across departments. This sounds like it would be a special carve-out for DPW, correct?
Yep.
So do we have any concerns about the other departments? Or the fact that they're gonna wanna follow suit?
I,
Historically, in the next section of the personnel policy, there's another section that asks the highway department not to take vacations during the winter season, so it's not the only time that the highway department's been carved out regarding winter operations, as well as the inclement weather section of the personnel policy that specifically states that the highway department obviously is exempt from that. So
That kind of leads to the one question I had, was how often do you expect it to even come up? If you're telling people don't use leave, but if you do, you get the overtime. How
So
often?
this, for me, this is realistically something that's not going to get used very often, but you know, when you have a full weekend storm and the guys have worked Tuesday through Friday, and then we get snow Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever, and they've had 0 time off,
And they wanna take Tuesday or
and
Wednesday.
they want to take Tuesday off, they're going to lose 10 hours of overtime. So instead of having guys who are zombies, you know, sleep deprivation obviously is not a great thing. You know, during a regular day, maybe after a storm when we're going to grease up a truck and do some maintenance on a truck, when you've been awake that long, that's when mistakes happen. That's how injuries happen. So I think it's very well deserved that the guys get 10 hours off, and it doesn't affect their overtime pay if they've worked a weekend. And obviously this, as it's stated, it's not an excuse to be absent during a winter storm. So kind of, hey, I want to go take off, but it's going to snow later. I'm gonna go.
That rolls into their on-call part.
Yeah,
policy,
yeah.
bonus and all that, so.
Yeah.
I think it's the way it ought to be done. I'd be even more so to not even specify if it's sick or vacation. I mean, not feeling good a day, head of a storm really, and you wanna stay home and rest so you can fulfill your obligation to plow, I don't think you should rest so you can feel good,
Yep.
not come in and affect everybody else.
Yep.
You know, because you try to, you know, if there's anything that we tried to kind of duplicate out of COVID is when somebody really doesn't feel good and they have the sick time and can stay home, not come in and affect everybody in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
It's encouraged, you know, I know I got someone that's got a fever and a runny nose, I encourage them to stay home, so.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so by getting the sick time thing out of there and saying you'll just take a sick day
Take
and
time.
rest up and be here for the storm, then I just would get rid of that altogether, just
Okay.
personally.
Yep.
And then to, you know, the other question that was already thrown out about how it affects other boards, I mean, should we just look in to see if we can just change what the personnel policy says, encompass everybody, or is that too much? I don't really know what overtime affects other non-union departments very much anyway.
Not much.
Fire would be the only one that would really have any impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how their policies read, I guess, but I'm okay with specifying it just for the highway, just didn't know if we're, like, making things more confusing.
I guess one of the questions I have, when there are big storms like that, what's a typical driver doing for, you know, does he just work 24 hours and then do it again? Or, so there's no maximum. If somebody's been behind the wheel for 20 hours, like, all right, you are definitely taking 10 hours off or something.
No,
No, if it's snowing, we're out there.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, they may come back and, you know, when they salt up and.
This was a
For
hard,
20 minutes, but.
this was a hard thing in Ware, because other towns do it similar to how Jason is proposing, and you work those hard hours.
Yeah.
You wanna come in, you don't wanna give those hard hours up, so you're gonna come in and
Yeah.
sweep the floor, and probably not gonna be very productive anyway, but some of them do, and they will work it anyway, whatever, cause you're still gonna get, you know. I guess but it rolls down to being able to take the rest without being penalized.
yeah, I mean,
And the sick part was really a big deal to me. I had more than once told you, stay home. You have the
Yeah.
time, you have 300 hours on the books, take 8 hours.
yeah. Realistically, for me, it comes right down to burnout. You're asking, like I said, it's not something that's gonna get used all the time. But if you get somebody who, that's the first time it's happened, 72 hours straight, you're at the highway department all weekend, and then, hey, great, 4 o'clock in the morning, everybody's cleaned up, we can go home, but you gotta be back here at 6:30. So, you know, go home, take the day off. It's not gonna snow for the next few days, you're gonna have some time to wash your truck. Not tomorrow, but the day after. You're gonna have time to grease it. So it's not something that's gonna decrease productivity. I think it'll only increase it. Rather than,
At a minimum, it's probably a net zero.
yeah, I mean,
Do you have concerns from other departments? No? Okay.
I'm more concerned about the safety of somebody being up 100 hours straight.
there is time, obviously, that we take breaks when we have to. If it's snowing pretty steady, we're not out on the road from midnight to 3 a.m. typically, unless there's a super big emergency. But when it's snowing an inch or 2 inches an hour, and that happens for 24 straight hours, 36 straight hours, I know me and Benji have both sat in a plow truck for that long, just going round and around and around and around. By the time you get your 6-7 hour route done with tar and dirt, so you got 3-4 inches back out on your first road you just touched. You got to go back out and hit it again. So it's times like that where this is gonna shine.
And we don't have enough on staff to have alternates.
Yep.
Right. Everybody's out, or
Not even close.
Not even one. Any concerns?
Makes sense.
No, I like the overall concept. I don't know, I mean, I'm not a word person. I don't know if, again, we ought to just make it part of town policy or,
Well, that's what he's asking. Put it into the personnel policy.
yeah. You know, that personnel
We're
problem.
gonna look at all that next week, I believe, so.
Bruce took the sick thing out. I would definitely that, 'cause I think I got more guys that take the sick day off than vacation.
Yeah,
Do you want this so you can modify it, or,
I got it.
okay?
Yeah,
That's where the crew usually gets sick more too, from being,
it is. Mostly what I put that in there was kind of to control some abuse of the
yeah,
system.
yeah.
Obviously, there's control by the department head because it needs to be approved leave as it states in the personnel policy already. I just didn't want you guys to look at it and go, yeah, this could be a system that could be easily abused. So that's not what I'm trying to promote with this. But certainly, if you guys want to just take it as all earned time, nobody's gonna fret about that.
Anyone have a issue with all earned time versus just vacation? Okay.
at director's discretion, cover all the bases.
Yeah, and that, obviously, it, further on in the personnel policy where it talks about each specific time,
Right.
it says the department head has the discretion here. So we can add something into this paragraph, or we can just, it seems a little repetitive to me, but that's totally up to you guys.
Put it in as is or as amended, and if we need to change it.
Yeah, when
we'll
we,
change
when we
it.
look at everything in total, if it doesn't flow, we can certainly, swap things around at that point, but
Yeah, so
I don't
just,
think, any time we add more stuff and make it redundant, then every time we change it, you have to remember now to change it
Everything.
everywhere, and that gets complicated too.
yeah, so I think just remove the 4 words other than sick leave, and that's good.
I think,
Makes that sentence leave, leave shall be defined as all earned time for this section.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, starting with other than,
I can edit that, shoot it back to you guys in an email so you have it, or?
I think just send it to TA Bolton, because we're gonna review, I think this week or next week, all the incorporations into the personnel policy.
Okay.
so Just put that in there. So that's 2 of them you'll have, I believe. Okay, which one's next?
Next on the agenda is the snow and ice policy.
I think we talked about this before, page 2, the first bullet. It currently says snow removal will resume once conditions become hazardous.
Page 2?
Yeah, page 2, first bullet.
Oh, yep.
I think we highlighted that last time, and just looks like it got missed again.
I don't remember anything about that.
Yeah, well, maybe I just thought I said it, but
There.
it might look different on my screen.
What did you want to change about that, or what was the question on that?
I think rather than become hazardous, would be like,
Right.
is no longer hazardous.
Right, you don't wanna wait till it becomes hazardous to go back out. Snow removal will resume once conditions become hazardous. So that sounds like you're
That's,
gonna wait till conditions are hazardous. And I think you're talking about if it's snow and ice, you're gonna wait until it's safe for your truck to go out.
That's what the first sentence is implying to me.
Right.
Plowing may be delayed, so
Right.
you're gonna pause if freezing rain is anticipated, and then you would resume.
Resume
when
again,
you know it's no
when you
longer
know
that
it's safe for your
situation.
truck
Yeah.
to go out, for your driver to go out.
I would take that, you're gonna resume when,
Conditions allow or something.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking the other way around.
Conditions improve.
You're not gonna go back out unless it's bad again.
yeah.
Well, I think it's really bad, so the plow can't go out.
Description after freezing rain.
Well, that's,
Ceased.
when there is freezing rain,
Right,
you want to leave some stuff on the road.
right.
Once conditions allow, take that part out.
So I think that one is something around the line of once conditions improve, then your plow can go back out.
Yeah. I mean, and even the rest of the sentence, typically after freezing rain has ceased, you would expect it, after the freezing rain has ceased, it doesn't become hazardous, it becomes less hazardous.
Plowing will resume once conditions allow,
I
or,
think that would be fine, because as it states now, somebody of the public reading this could think that you guys are only gonna go out if things are really, really terrible. I think you're trying to say the opposite. If they're really, really terrible, we're gonna wait until they're safe enough for the plow to be out.
yeah.
What else do you guys have?
I wrote down Appendix D terminology. The first one, treat roads. As written, it says a mixture of sand and salt with be spread over the travel width of the road. I think it should be a mixture of sand and salt will be spread over the travel width of the road. So two typos, both changing the word with. That makes sense. A mixture of sand and salt will be spread over the travel width of the road.
Oh, yep.
Really, in that same one, I'd asked about it before, and I just want to kind of double check.
Yep.
The 2 to 4 feet is off the center line. I'm just picturing two feet, or is that,
I tried to specify that towards salt, because I know that we kind of went back and forth on this a little bit.
I guess, is that 2 feet on either side of the center line, or is that, I'm picturing like 1 foot on either side of the double yellow.
Salt, that's what you do,
Okay,
straight salt.
okay.
Yep.
I feel like I just had to ask again. Okay. That's everything I had for this policy.
Are the plow routes in the policy? Is usually
Pallet roots are in the policy, yep.
Appendix.
I don't, I mean, that's up to you. I don't know as I,
They're in the one that you did in 16. They're changed up a little bit, obviously.
we had it in the policy?
Yeah, they were in the one from 2004 too.
I guess just didn't think it needed to be in the policy, you change them up however you want them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all in there as general guideline, I
Okay.
guess, just to kind of show people where they're at,
Okay.
I suppose.
And I think it says in there somewhere that you review that every year.
Yeah, I think it's on the first page. Has the next review date actually on the header.
And you're gonna keep a revision history so that they know that what revision this is, dated?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a policy number on top, so we can just kind of keep that going.
Okay.
Along with the approval date and the review date on there, so.
Anything else on that? I think we had 2 changes for you.
We could do your final, edit or whatever, edit the title block too.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Anything else on snow and ice? Solid waste?
Made a few edits, included some RSA stuff that was suggested. We simplified, I guess, the resident definition. Any person who resides within the geographic boundaries of the town of Ware. I think that's what we all agreed upon last time.
The only thing I wrote down for this one is, had to do with plastic recycling, both 2.4, 4.2. I don't think it's clear enough that, I think we know, reading it, that we're not definitely taking plastic all the time. Sometimes we may, sometimes we may not. Should we, or I guess my proposal, one of 2 things, at least on 2.4, I think is vague enough. Materials such as, okay, but 4.2, I thought was a little more on the nose, and I would either edit the first line that says the following materials can be accepted for recycling to say, depending on market conditions, or just scratch the whole thing and say, the list of recyclable materials will be maintained at the transfer station and on the town website and amended by either the Board of Selectmen or the DPW director as necessary, and just don't even include it. I think that's kind of my preference, is just scratch the list from 4.2 and say, you can find the list at the transfer station or the town website, and that the list may be amended. I don't care who's amending it, if we're doing it, if you're doing it, just write it down.
This is kind of that list, though. Really, there's no
But it
other,
includes plastic.
no, I know, but as far as another document that says what we take, that's kind of what your solid waste ordinance is supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm picturing somebody moves to town, they're like, I'm going to the dump for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna split stuff out. Oh, I gotta split out paper and cardboard, glass containers, plastics, aluminum and tin cans. And they get there, plastic goes straight in the trash.
I can almost guarantee you nobody's gonna be looking at the
That's the-
ordinance.
No, but
They're gonna
that's
go- they're gonna
what
call
they
us
want
the
it to be
taste I'm
for,
trying to-
so, yeah.
Or if they
It's always
call
a
up,
tough
then
thing.
say
It's
that,
always
just
a-
say like, call to get the list. That's fine.
I think it's supposed to have it in there, but I see what you're saying, but it's kinda gotta have that caveat as such as, because you never know what you might recycle next or might not recycle next.
So then I would go back to the other proposal I had, which just said, depending on market conditions, the following materials can be accepted for recycling, which then I think allows the
Maybe.
flexibility. Yeah, maybe,
May or can, either one.
I'd say might, but.
Possibly, maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't say shall, it says can in there.
Yeah, I know we went over this the first time, and I thought that
Still
we
just a
agreed
little-
that the can was okay. That's why I didn't change it, but depending on market conditions, the following materials may be accepted.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. Anything else on solid waste?
Yeah, I had a question on 7.3. Inspection and monitoring. So the town may conduct periodic inspections. Do we want to get a little more specific about who the town is for that purpose?
Salem. Sorry.
You could say the transfer station
everybody works for
employees,
me?
right?
I guess in the next sentence, it says employees of the transfer station have the authority to direct users regarding proper disposal practices. I guess we can just say employees may conduct periodic inspections.
Yeah, transfer station employees.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the town could be pretty vague, could be
Yep.
a lot of people.
Okay. Good with that one?
I'm good with it.
Anything else? Two changes to that one. The last, I think, is the commercial hauler.
Yep. Changed a few things. I know there was emphasis on including the town of Ware solid waste ordinance as part of this, making sure that that was well known. So that's included in there. Contract dates, we specified that a little bit better. I changed that 15-day, kind of grace period at the beginning of the year to a 30-day, so. I know
Seems
it's-
reasonable.
I know it's a busy time of year for everybody, so I figured that would be in order. Compliance, made sure to specify town of Ware solid waste ordinance. Cleaned up the termination by hauler as far as the agreement goes, as well as termination by the town. I know that was we changed that up to immediately rather than a certain time limit with a written notice. I think reporting specified a schedule would have to be presented to us at our request for the days that these haulers plan on being at the transfer station to ensure that they're not coming in randomly with some other town's municipal trash. And then the other thing that we had touched on a little bit was kind of how to identify a commercial hauler as far as like a sticker goes. So I'd planned on probably just editing the stickers that we already have and kind of ordering not very many of them. Instead of resident, it'll say commercial and then the sticker number. Kind of same sticker,
Yeah.
probably a different color other than red that we ordered, but
We say just put commercial diagonally across it or something.
yeah,
You
something.
got 4 of them.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys know who they all are, so.
yes.
No, but if you get new employees, it's
Yep.
somebody up there that's just like, I don't know if these guys are supposed to be here or not, so.
Yep.
Or a resident who may be concerned.
That's what I mean, or somebody saying, I don't know if
Oh,
these
I
guys
thought
should
you
be
were
here.
talking about
No,
employees still.
no, new employees, I mean,
Yeah.
they'll get their training, so. Okay,
The only thing I wrote down was 3.1, where it says, provide waste collection and disposal services for only commercial clients. That almost sounds like it's excluding residential. don't think is what we want.
Yep. I mean, I get what you're saying.
Could go commercial for only clients and where?
But we do want to exclude industrial, is that right? I honestly don't remember where we ended up.
So realistically, everything that goes in that hopper needs to be municipal trash. Anything other than that is like the fee-based items that we charge for. As long as the stuff is generated in the town of Ware and we're being compensated for it, whether through its taxes for municipal trash or fee-based items. It is their commercial clients.
Right, I get like that reading of it, but
Yeah.
and maybe, and to open up a different problem, you could also read this as saying they cannot serve clients in other towns. Which I know is, we don't want other towns' trash here, but you could say, the hauler shall provide services for only commercial clients in the town of Ware. Well, that's not what we're looking for either. We want them to, we only want Ware trash in Ware.
Residential clients in the town of Ware.
Say the same thing about 3.2 and 3.3, where, we're about recycling. The hauler agrees to meet the recycling requirements set forth by the town of Ware. I don't know if that would necessarily mean they can't do something different in Henniker or someplace else.
Right, I think we'd all understand that's what we're going for, but it's not quite what it says. That's almost like California makes a stringent law to make other states comply. That's not what we're trying to do.
Other than it's implied that they're coming to our transfer station, not going someplace else.
Right, but if we say you cannot service Ware unless you follow all Ware laws, even in other towns. That's not what we're trying to say, but it could be read that way.
Just kind of reword it a little bit and somehow and say, all trash brought by the hauler must be from Ware residents only. What?
No, I'm just reading it.
I think there's a distinction there that doesn't exist, but,
What do you mean?
What distinction?
I don't think it, I suppose you could try to read it that way, but I don't think it really says that.
Saying shall provide service for only clients in the town of Ware.
I don't think it's enforceable that you could.
Right, I agree, but that's what the words of the sentence say that, if not,
So
if that's not
that's one of
our-
my point. Why don't we just get rid of provide the services and just specify that
Yeah.
the material they bring is only from residents?
Because that's what we want to have. in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just pick the part out in the solid waste policy that we just okayed and reference that. But get rid of I know what you're saying, I don't think it's gonna be a problem, but I do get it. that
I agree, it's
they
probably not
can't-
a problem.
But just get rid of that disposal services part and write a new sentence for that.
Do we even need a new sentence? Can we just scratch?
Just scratch that first sentence.
Yeah, because the other policy, like you say, already says it should only be trash from Ware, right? Or,
Yeah, it
It's this
does.
one
but
that says that.
If you want it in there, you just say that all material brought must be generated by, all
It's in there. It's not in that paragraph, but it's in there.
right, well, then get rid of that then.
Get rid of the first sentence.
I guess.
Would that work?
trying to confirm that it's actually in here somewhere.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, as long as somewhere else it states that the trash has to come from Ware residents, then get rid of it. If not, then write that sentence in there.
Can you point him to where it says only wear trash?
My opinion, number 1, says including the town of Ware's solid waste ordinance. It's right in that solid waste
I'm saying
ordinance.
the other thing references, but
2-1.
not, that's the term.
Purpose of this agreement, section 1.
Okay, well, I've got different bullet points. Bullet numbers. It's just rendering goofy.
Yeah, so the last sentence right there.
Right, no, that's my point, is that it's saying, it's referencing the solid waste ordinance, but I don't believe that this document, and I don't really care that it does, as long as the solid waste ordinance does say it. I don't think this document any longer would say trash must come from where.
Well, 2-1 in the
2-1.
solid waste ordinance does.
No, that's my point.
Oh,
I see what,
that's the solid waste one. No, it's in the commercial hauler contract.
That's where I disagree.
You have that? Thank you.
Let's rewrite that sentence then. It should be,
If it's not in here, I would just, I would change the intro paragraph to end with the words, it says, for the disposal and management of solid waste and recyclables, new words, generated in the town of Ware. That's the purpose, that's what we keep talking about, what do we actually intend? There you go, intro paragraph.
I swear it was in there.
I think it's only in the solid waste ordinance. Which is fine if this references it, it still captures it.
No, I was reading 3-1. The hauler shall provide waste collection and disposal service for clients in the town of Ware. But it doesn't say generated from them. Thank you. Yep, good with the introduction change you just said?
Are you saying putting that after the first sentence?
So new words at the very end of the intro paragraph, the one that starts this agreement is made.
Yep.
So at the very end of that paragraph, for the disposal and management of solid waste and recyclables generated in the town of Ware.
Okay.
And then, I know we're quibbling about stuff, but then we don't have to worry about where is it in this document. There you go. This is the intent. It's Ware trash only.
Got it. Okay. The fee schedule 4-1, 4-2 says the hauler shall remit payment of $250 to the town of Ware for all fees due under this agreement. I'm assuming that there may be more than the $250 fee
Yeah,
due
previous-
under this agreement at some point.
Yeah, the previous section has additional fees.
Right, but it doesn't say what they are.
it'll be whatever they brought that they had to pay, right?
Yeah.
Right, so, I think the payment under 4-2
Shouldn't be that specific.
shouldn't be there. The 250 is the annual right just to bring your commercial trash here, your commercial residential trash. So that would be under the fee schedule. And then you may have additional fees for those special items according to your fee schedule. And then payment for the 250 is due annually and the others at the time of service. And then take out any reference to all fees due under this agreement, because it wouldn't be all the, 250 is not everything. I think I missed that when we talked about it the first time.
Yep, yeah, I don't remember talking about that.
Yeah, I don't think we did, so. Anything else?
No.
Okay, 2 changes to that one also.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Is the next plan to finalize them, and do you need to have any public hearings for amendments. Because you guys can hold just a public hearing to make amendments to policies.
The two that'll go into the personnel policy,
Correct.
you'll
The other
incorporate
ones,
those.
right.
And these other three, you say we normally do that?
Well, you're
Or-
gonna have if you're gonna make amendments to the personnel policy, you'll have to have a public hearing for
Right.
the two. So I
Right.
just said you could do them all together, the
Yeah, I
three.
think that's probably okay. Do them all together?
When do you wanna do that?
Whenever you're
Well,
available.
we don't know how long it's gonna take to do the personnel policy. We haven't seen the first draft of
Oh.
it yet.
So you're gonna
Right,
lump
all together.
those with that?
I thought that's what you were saying.
No, I was saying transfer station, but we can lump them all together. If that's what the will is. I was thinking if we moved on with those three, as far as DPW and the personnel policy would be separate. It's just one of your nights, it's not, you know,
I'd say do them all together. Just
it's fine.
do all policies in one. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully they're all finalized by then, won't be
Well,
much talk about anyway,
yeah.
so.
hopefully, but you never know. Anything else for Jason?
No,
I heard you were helping out over at the library, was it? You're gonna dig some bushes out.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yep.
always hearing from people, oh yeah, DPW is helping out with that. So, thank you and everybody over there.
Yep, not a problem. We're gonna put up a sign. Clay bought a sign for the library. He just doesn't have a post or a pounder, so we're gonna go over there and pound a post in for him, hang a sign for him. He asked about those bushes, so we're gonna take care of those. I just told him I wanted the yard to dry up out there a little bit before we go ahead and tear that up and make a giant mess, so.
what end's the sign going on?
He's got a plan where he wants it. I'm not sure at this point.
Be careful.
Yeah,
over there.
yeah,
There's a lot of stuff buried and Dig Safe don't have a very good handle on it.
yeah,
I used to have a
exactly.
hand-drawn map of it, cause I've dug everything up there is to dig up.
Yeah,
And, put Tim threw it away.
As far as utilities go, is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, everything. There's phone wires and gas lines and water mains and
Yeah,
fiber
yeah.
optic and,
yeah,
and underground rain gutter drainage system and, yeah,
yeah, so,
old septic system, the stone building.
yeah. We're, like I said,
Propane
he's figuring out where he wants that, and then,
And you're gonna tell them where you can actually have it?
well, we're obviously gonna have to dig safe it before we do anything crazy, but then again, you never know what's buried. So yeah, we're gonna go do that. Got a email from Park. We're gonna go touch some things up over at Bolton. I can't remember if she sent. There's one other thing she had mentioned. I don't know, Naomi, if you remember or not, but we're gonna go help Park out with that. I think that's it
You're
for.
gonna do the boat ramp?
Oh yeah, exactly. We're gonna touch up the boat ramp a little bit, as well for Park. And then I don't know if any of you guys have been to the transfer station recently, but we've had quite a bit of cleanup operations going on over there. We got a new sign. Trying to promote some recycling. Got some
It's
numbers
very
up there.
prominent.
Crazy, I was like, I've never seen this sign in my life.
No, it's very prominent. You can see it as soon as you drive
Yeah.
down.
So we kind of put that out there front and center, trying to, again, promote some recycling. It only helps the town as a whole. So that's up there. We need a couple more numbers to add up there, but we kind of got a baseline just to get it out there, get it, show people. Had a couple guys, since we're kind of mud season, just a little bit slow as far as that goes up there, cleaning up, raking, picking up cans, moving things around, making it look a little bit more presentable up there. So that looks good as far as I'm concerned. So if any of you guys go up there and check that out, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think there's some changes coming to lithium-ion batteries.
Yep, yeah, they're no longer, allowed to go in the municipal trash.
I think they require some communication, proactive communication go out on that.
Yep, yeah,
How
we
are
don't,
gonna handle that?
we accept them separately
Right,
at this point
to
already.
make sure they're not mixed in with the trash.
Yep, yep.
So,
Yeah, we,
We haven't thrown batteries and trash up there in a long, long time.
no, not for a while. It's not a practice
but I
that we
think
do,
part of
but,
the, is a requirement for communication.
yep, yep. Yeah, so we'll work on that with, one of our message boards. I don't think that's an issue at all, getting that up there, getting that right out front and center for everybody. It is a new year, so we do have, some more grant opportunities for signage up there, so we'll be looking at that. With the new PBN, we'll have obviously a different permit number coming, so we can get a new front and center sign that'll take up all our points for the signs, but
Any update on the PBN?
nothing yet. They changed the form, so it's a whole different form now, right in the middle of our process, which is great. So that's sent back out in the
Is that
new
update?
form. I've worked with another solid waste facility who just did that, trying to get a grasp on the whole process. It's nice to have somebody who's already done it, so that's handy. Highway department, springtime, thankfully. We're mostly getting out of the snow. I know it was snowing at my house this morning, a little bit over this way, nothing much, nothing to affect the roads, which was great. Our new truck from last year's vote is all upfitted. We don't have it in our possession yet. We're just waiting on paperwork for the dealer, but that came in, so we'll have that for next year.
This is our first spring and a really wet one with the trailer caddy. Is it still doing well?
Yep, trailer caddy's doing good. There's a couple of holes we gotta throw some gold patch in down there, but other than that, we're not having any issues with that. It's doing pretty good. Next time I'll have some hard numbers for you as far as quarterly update for the revolving fund. So that'll be a good update for you guys on that. We're doing a little bit of a different system with our ACs up at the transfer station. Instead of throwing them into the metal hopper and getting like $146 a ton, there is another company out of Goffstown that'll come pick them up for $164 a ton. I know it's not a huge difference, but it's a little bit more money going into that fund. So that's just a quick little update on that. I think that's all I got.
What about the road postings, one of those?
We're gonna try to pull those down at the end of this week. It's the hope. Everybody wants their fridges and their stoves and their couches.
How does somebody know if you've granted an exception? I mean, obviously, if I asked for one, I would know if I got that.
Yep.
But if I see trucks out and about, how do I know that they're allowed to be there?
So we keep a running record of any exemptions that we give. We typically work with any of the people who are hauling whatever it's appliances or equipment. Some of the stuff we feel is okay, get in early in the morning where the ground's still frozen. So
So they really
if
have to call
anybody
you?
if anybody has any questions, you can call the highway department and we have a folder. It's pretty steady, so if somebody's concerned, hey, I saw a vehicle that was over, they can call us. We can say, yep, I granted a slip for this person. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we're gonna do as far as
Enforcement?
enforcement. We're not the police or anything, but
No, just
obviously.
wondered if there was a way people
Yep.
would know, but, hey, these guys are okay.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't happen often. Kind of refuse and septic, all those guys are kind of exempt from that. Those are something that has to be
Yeah, but they're
done,
not driving
obviously.
10
Home,
10-wheeler dump trucks.
Oh, yeah, they're the
Oh, yeah.
worst ones.
Are
they,
they?
Oh, septic trucks.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of the trash.
Then the big.
well, trash
the big-
packers, those are
yeah.
pretty heavy.
The dumpster guys, because all your dumpsters on the edge of the road,
Yeah,
so they get off on the edge.
yeah,
They do the most damage.
yeah. Home heat, they're exempt, obviously. You can't tell anybody they can't heat their house. So you'll see those guys every year, but,
I appreciate the info.
have a good night.
You do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think that brings us to bylaws for Parks and Rec. So James sent something out, and I believe Tia Bolton sent the same somewhere a couple weeks ago, maybe. So James, do you want to lead the discussion, since you're the one who took our notes last time, and obviously you worked with Parks to get these updates?
Yep. Short answer is the changes should all be included in this draft. I'll admit I did not go through with a fine-tooth comb to verify everything 100%, but there were just some pretty minor ones for this last time around, specifically about including the lines for board members to sign and the town administrator.
Yeah, so do we sign this? Does Parks sign it? Do we both sign it? How do we normally do these?
This is a first for you guys, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm not sure what we normally do. I know when, was it, planning board did their update for SIP, they had the chair of planning board and the chair of board of selectmen sign it, and that's all they did.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
So, I guess,
And then over to the town clerk.
yeah. And it's town clerk, not town administrator.
Oh,
So that would be on the last page.
that was my fault
I
then.
did have, sorry, I had three other things. 3C quotes, and some of this, I probably should have caught the first time, I apologize. 3C quotes RSA 67312, but that RSA applies to land use boards, which are specifically ZBA, Planning Board, Heritage Commission, Historic District Commission, Ag Commission, and potentially Housing Commission. So, Park is not one of those under 67312, it would be 35B4. This all has to do with ex officio members.
I'm sorry, where are you?
Section 3C.
Oh, 3C.
Membership in terms of office, page 1, last section.
Okay, yeah, right. The regular members are RSA 35B. The ex officio,
Yep.
you're
and
saying, is not.
Yeah, because 67312 has to do with land use boards, which are specified as those ones I just listed. And then 35B4 does mention ex officios. It says, skipping all the way to the bottom of 35B4, any city or town may by ordinance or resolution provide that the mayor or a selectman or councilman shall be an ex officio member of the commission. So I had two questions. What did the original implementation, like when the town formed Park, what did it say? And otherwise, do these bylaws count as a resolution to kind of create this ex officio membership? So, yeah, I guess I know we've seen the original warrant article, but I couldn't find it again.
Yeah, I have that same question for 1B. I believe we said last time that it was the vote that was going to be attached. And it does say vote attached for reference now, but I didn't see it attached, so I don't know what the actual,
And so if it mentions an ex officio member in that vote, awesome, it's already covered. If it doesn't, then does the act of creating these bylaws count as a resolution? I don't know the It's not an ordinance, I don't believe, but, because those are well-defined. But I don't know of a good definition of resolution, maybe there is one. So more questions than answers there, unfortunately.
All right, so,
Usually try and have like a recommended wording, but not on that one.
all right, so 1B, we said with votes attached, but we didn't put that in there. And then on 3C, we referenced the wrong RSA.
Yep.
That-
And because, and so 67312 has to do with land use board ex officios, but it's not a land use board, so 35B4, which does have ex officio language, so how are we lining up with the language of 35B4? Which says ordinance or resolution may provide for an ex officio.
That notwithstanding, I think our intention when we referenced 67312 was, this is a language
Yeah, sure.
that says only the ex officio
May have an
alternate
yep.
can fill in for the ex officio. So I think we were trying to get that into all the bylaws that have formal ex officios, and we might have said that language, but I don't think we were intending to
Okay.
reference 673.
Yeah, and I like that intent.
Right.
But, yeah, 673 jumped out at me, and then it was like, well, but there's 35B4, which does, so
Yeah,
I don't want to
your question
violate that
notwithstanding,
Yeah.
I don't want to,
Well, I'll quit belaboring that one. if
yeah,
you
I
wanna
think
look
it,
into
in this case, just remove 67312 in the parens, but your question still
Yep,
remains.
Great.
Okay.
and then, when you're ready, I can move to my next one.
Okay,
And it's 4B4. It's simple typo, Board of Selectmen, should be plural selectmen.
okay. Oh, come on. Or B4, okay.
Okay, so my last one is a little wonky. It's 4C1. And specifically, this is saying where the director is a member, and I believe we should remove where it says they are a member. And I say that because RSA 35B5 has to do with, the title is Organization and Procedures for Operation of Recreation or Park Commission. In the middle of that, it says, a majority of the members of the commission shall constitute a quorum. Any action is not official unless authorized by a majority of the total membership. So if we're saying the director is a member, we're now impacting what a quorum is and what majority is for an official authorized action. So I would just remove them as a member because the intent is they're not voting. But, and I think there was other language around there that gets the intent across of you will attend meetings and you will advise.
Okay. So would we just remove that section then? See
I'll
what?
cover your shoulder.
Or would we just leave in there, the director should be?
I would
President.
probably say the Park and Recreation Director shall have the responsibility of participating in discussions, but without the right to vote.
Okay. All right. So, take out the dual role position as a stipend employee, but will have the right, have the responsibility of participating in discussions without the
Yes.
right to vote.
Yep.
Okay.
So removing the language that says they are a member.
Committee member. Okay.
That's everything I had for park bylaws.
The revision history that's on here takes it up to like 1.5
Yes, the.
Are you gonna wipe all that out once this is
We will.
approved and just say this is revision, whatever?
I think we will, and
Okay.
say that's,
Because I was gonna say this can get very confusing, especially when it says that these were approved back on October 15th, but we're still changing them.
well, yeah.
Okay.
Park has had a desire to have as many motions as possible.
Okay, so I guess I'll ask T.A. Bolton again, how do we want to handle these approvals or
I
whatever
was
going
looking,
forward?
ZBA and planning board don't sign them.
Okay.
They just indicate how they can be amended and that they rest, once approved, they're adopted and they
Yeah.
rest with the town clerk. I don't think it's got signatures on them. None of, ZBA and planning board don't have signatures on them.
Maybe the policy was a little bit different because it's an actual how to do something
Yeah,
for CIP.
because they amended the ZBA ones in 2024 of May, and there's no signature.
Okay.
And there's no signature on the planning board one either.
I would say just be consistent.
I can remove the
Anybody
signature lines.
object to that?
No, consistent.
All right, so no signatures at all.
Not from us. I mean, if you guys want to decide if you want to do it, that's fine for Park. Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't think it would be necessary. I think consistency there would be good too.
Yeah, in the.
No selectmen, no town administrator, no
planning
town
board-
clerk.
No, just need to make sure it goes over to
The
the
planning
town
board
clerk.
makes a comment on theirs about the filing with the clerk.
Mhm.
Says these bylaws and any amendments thereto shall be placed on file with the town clerk for public inspection. A complete set of bylaws as amended shall also be attached to the minutes of the board meeting and kept on file. And then they have an effective date. It says these bylaws and any subsequent amendments shall become effective immediately upon passage of the board.
I like
So,
that. Can you add that?
Can you send me that?
Sure.
Or what documents?
It's just if you go on the website, it's the planning board on the bottom.
Oh, planning board,
The
okay.
planning board bylaws, if you go to the planning board tab, go to the bylaws, it's on the last two items.
Okay. Clear as mud.
All right, and then who has the action to get with 35B4? Is that the park or is that us? I'm assuming it's park, but I don't want to assume anything regarding
That was my
choose
assumption.
3C. Okay, action to park on 3C.
That was the,
Right.
yeah, the ex officio language, what did the original implementation say, and does implementing this count as a resolution? If ex officio is not otherwise defined by the original vote.
Go back and
Okay.
verify we have the original vote.
All right, all
Dive
good.
into the depths of the dungeon.
So I'm assuming because we have that open question, we at least want an answer to that. So I don't know that we need to see these again, but if you're bringing them back, we don't mind looking at them, I guess.
Okay.
Anything else for James on the bylaws? Okay. Brings us to the consent agenda. We have two. First is a gravel intent, number 25471-03E for tax map 409004. And there's a timber yield tax for, timber tax number 2447113T for tax map 407018. And if anybody's looking at the agenda, there's a typo there, it's missing the 0, it's 407018. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, good. All right, and then administrator's report is next.
I handed it all out to you earlier. First several items that you already handled. Non-public for next week of the hiring of park staff for Chase Park. First quarter review, I did have Pastor Stockhouse stop by I guess they've finished up the survey, and he would like to give the selectmen an update. They met April 2nd, so he'd like to come in on the 14th and give the update. Kind of see what you want to do with it.
If I could piggyback off that now.
What's that?
Just to piggyback off that
Sure.
right now.
Sure.
We met, yeah, Pastor Bill entered the data into SurveyMonkey, we made some small tweaks, and he's gonna be asking to meet with us for approval to include a link and explanation in the upcoming tax bill and to cover the cost of mailing that, just so everybody's aware, you know, that's what he's going to be.
He's gonna have an ask.
Yep.
Do we have any idea how much it is?
I mean,
No, because what we talked about when he came to see me was he wanted a logo and he wanted a letterhead, so he could draft like an opening thing, because he's still gonna do a QR code, is my understanding as well.
Yep.
So, he wanted that, and we talked about doing it the same way that we did the, when we stuck the mailer into about recycling.
so I was gonna ask you what the cost of that was ahead of. if
I
you-
don't
if you
know
could-
that we
not like right
absorbed it
this second,
here, all
but-
we did was make copies and fold them and put them in the bills. Everything was done here, there was no additional, maybe I had to buy reams of paper.
Right, I guess just ahead of the discussion with Pastor Bill, if you could just
Yep.
make sure. I told the subcommittee, hey, this is what we did with recycling, we've been talking about this long enough, I don't think it's gonna surprise anybody. I obviously can't speak for the board, but we have talked about it at this table plenty of times. So, just so everybody kind of knows what I said ahead of next week.
Yeah, because we talked about, typically one sheet of paper in a tax bill doesn't, because you can end up to 5 sheets before you bump to the next one.
Yeah.
So, we talked about it, but he wanted a nice clear letterhead with you guys so that he could do a draft
Is it
opening.
gonna
thing.
come from us or from the planning board?
Well, I don't know, we talked about, he could take that off and put subcommittee if you wanted,
Yeah, or the planning board.
or,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. That's part of the whole, I gave it to him in Word so he could play with it a couple of different. But what we did before is we copied in-house and then we have a trifold, so we shuffled it through and took one and added it to each one.
And I guess
Does-
the hope is get final approval of what, it would not be like final text necessarily, but here's the idea that we're looking to generate, and then be able to, at our first meeting in May, finalize that wording to get put in. So if we do need to do a back and forth, if this board needs to approve that actual wording, we may need to try and meet sooner, or if we could pencil it in for the first May meeting of this board following the meeting of that subcommittee, if necessary.
Yeah.
But I think it should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, because, and that's what we talked about too, we talked about when bills gonna go out, and they always go out about Memorial Day. So that's why
That's about a
you guys are set
2-week
for the 7th, I believe, we have a meeting the 12th.
I was gonna say it's the 9th or
So
something.
it will work,
Okay, great.
and then we could do it that way if we had to, that's why we laid the calendar out as we did.
Yep, great.
I
So
just,
the Survey Monkey thing is no
Yeah.
longer,
no,
So it is.
you did a nice job.
oh, or
So-
that's the QR code?
As a subcommittee, we finalized the list of questions, I
I'm
think.
with you. Took
Okay.
me a while.
Okay. I mean, I can repeat the whole thing, or?
Nope.
You're good? Okay,
Nope.
okay.
No, I think they did a
I
lot of
was just
work
thinking,
in
yeah.
building this survey, I think Pastor Bill did a nice job doing it.
Yeah, he did 95% of this phase of the work.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like 40, is it 44 questions? Something like that?
At least, it was at least 51.
Okay.
'Cause we were having 50-51.
I know there's a lot of time, but he did a lot of inputting with it, so.
Yeah.
I just left on the hayfield, I know it's not gonna happen probably, I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
We have no information that I'm aware of, so.
Correct. And then the deeding on the 21st, I mean, the tax deeding, I did reach out to both of the companies and they'll come in on
Yeah,
that day.
I think we're just looking for an overview of capabilities.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, it's not gonna be
Anything
anything specific.
Okay.
They asked kind of how many we had, what we were looking for. They also asked for, like, what the assessed value might be, just for an idea. So that would give them, the personnel policy, I shuffled that, so it looks like it moved from, I thought about that a little bit more, because I was hoping we could maybe do the evaluation and the personnel policy together after the deeding or tax deeding discussion. That's all I had for the 21st. And then the 28th we're off, but we have that meeting on the, well, you guys, we're gonna have that local forum on the 30th for the bridge. I did move
Yeah,
cable,
I,
yeah,
on that, we were gonna get at least what kind of things are they gonna be covering?
on the locals.
Yeah.
I gotta see, Tom Marshall's supposed to do the, but I can get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Cable, I explained to you before, the chair had put together a whole bunch of rewrite. They're gonna meet again in May, and then, but we have one meeting in May. If we needed, we might put in the 1st of June to come before us, because I don't remember when they're meeting in May.
Okay, so that probably won't be till June.
That's why I did the May/June. The right to know, Janice, I did get your link, thank you. It was actually a little bit different than what I had, so I'll put both together.
Oh, okay.
Your link, and then I actually had a handbook, and then the
I
video.
thought that link was for a handbook, but
No,
maybe.
it brought up a bunch of Q&A stuff,
Oh,
at
okay.
least when I
Okay.
clicked on it. It went to NHMA, but I actually downloaded the actual catalog, maybe, whatever, brochure. I did add the plan for the building upkeep. We talked about getting that project started early on all buildings. I just put before fall. That led us back to the, was discussion last week about government building fund and the roofing. We got 2 roofing bids. One was 13,385 and one was 25, so she was right within that.
Yeah, and that was for a complete roof.
Yeah.
So I think the question last week was, is there an immediate repair that needs to be done?
I'd have
So
to,
maybe you can ask the Historical Society that. Because she said it's starting to leak, I think is what she said when she was here last week. She being Sherry.
yeah. I don't even know what's in there. Okay.
I don't either.
Okay. And the other, I haven't added much. You heard Jason about the PBN. That's the first time I'd heard that. Energy, Bruce got that one for the next meeting. We didn't ask him about tree removal, because it's almost that time of year again, to put the trees out for the cemetery.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything more.
One go back on the top section on the
Sure.
first page, employee evaluation samples. Selectman Knapp had sent out one last week. I
Yeah.
don't know if you want to share that with the rest of the board or not. Since you sent out the one, at least they can see it. I know he's got the lead, I believe, or did we?
No, we happen to be doing the same thing in my town, so I was just, not saying it's a good one or bad one, just
Okay.
was another option, I guess.
All right.
I just
Yeah.
got done doing 6 people with that particular one, so I can explain, and it follows the number system, and everything like we're trying to do, but not saying that's one we should use. I
Just
actually
another
would
good
recommend changing a few things on that one if we were doing this, a couple things I don't like about it, but it also, there's some good stuff about it too.
So my thought is we could maybe do the personnel and the employee evaluations same night while it's fresh in everyone's mind. That's why I was putting those 2 together, plus I didn't want to overload the 14th, thinking, I don't know what it was, I have 20, there's 20 park kids. That's why I backed off the 14th. Do
Wow.
you want them all? There's 10 new, 10 returning. Do you want, that's the list that was given.
Yeah, no, I just,
Do you want them all? I know we did all last year. Do you want all 20? That's gonna come into effect for your agenda for the next week, that's all. Because I was given the list. There's a total of 20. Anyway, we
To
can,
individually,
we already brought them in for what they
5
have,
minutes.
5 or 10 minutes?
The returning ones are probably don't.
Last year we did all of them only because none of us knew anybody.
Yeah.
And 4 of us sat here last time, so I guess I will ask you first do you wanna see all 20?
Yeah, I'm okay with the returning ones.
Okay. Do you guys
All
wanna
right, so we're
see all
down to
20?
10. That's still an hour.
Still an
50
hour, yeah.
50 minutes or so.
That's fine to see all 20?
It's fine to only do the return.
Okay. All right, I think only the
But
return.
you're still even at
The new
5
ones.
minutes.
New,
Yeah.
Right.
Right, so at 5 minutes, you're still at
So-
50 minutes,
Right.
still gonna be an hour.
9:30.
All right, so I don't have anything more to add here. I did wanna ask.
If that's what you want.
I will, I guess I can do it now. So, as you know, Melissa started on Friday, worked out very well. Wesley started today, worked out very well. It's almost kind of scary, there's people in the building that would not trip over each other, but we have more than one person. And I had told you that Steve is going to, Cameron actually is not gonna start this Friday because they're away, he's gonna start Monday. When he starts, Steve is gonna go to 2 days. There's also gonna be a reduction in the salary, so you will have to make a motion for Beth's purpose, and Steve's gonna go to 700 instead of the 1,000 that he's doing, and that is covered in the budget. He's still gonna stay as an employee, as a vendor, contractor, and he will provide us with insurance.
And includes the training.
And he's going to, he's going to be a mentor, but he's also gonna be, if Cam was sick, he said he could come in. He just doesn't want a full-time job, just gonna,
No, he's been clear about that from the.
right. And,
Very
and
first time we talked to
if,
him.
if he's on vacation or something like that, he is gonna be here and mentor and help him out. But we have to make that motion. It wouldn't be effective until let me find the date, she said. So he's gonna be, his reduction would start, April 18th. So we go from 1,000 to 700 effective April 18th. Because you're gonna have to pay Cam, so.
And how long does he anticipate needing to stay on it 2 days a week? I know,
He was gonna stay on and do the zoning part with them. Because we had a zoning administrator open. And he's willing to stay. Position was budgeted for.
do you guys need time to think about that, or?
No.
No.
No? All right. Then I would accept a motion to change Steve Garside from 4 days a week to 2 days a week, approximate, but he has schedule flexibility there, at a rate of $700 a week, which includes training, mentoring, and zoning administrator, effective 4/18/2025. Would anyone like to move that?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Selectman Fillmore. Anyone like to second?
Second?
Seconded by Selectman Drury. Any further conversation, discussion? All in favor say yes or yay.
Yes.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, motion passes.
I know I didn't see anything, you're still working with Primex on the food pantry?
I do have an answer,
All right.
but I
Yep, that's fine, I just.
can talk about it now if you want.
No, you don't have to, you can talk about it when you were gonna.
Doesn't bother me. The, last week we said that there was still language in there related to the food pantry, required to have insurance in certain aspects. I did call them, and that has been changed, and it now says, Licensee may, if it so chooses, to carry property insurance. So I think that fully resolves our concerns about the food pantry not being able to afford and buy insurance. And so this is a change from a lease agreement to a revocable license agreement. I would like to send it to you all for you to look at it. And I'm talking to the board, not yet to Ware Food Pantry, before we send it to Ware Food Pantry, because it is a change. This change was developed by Primex, Office of General Counsel. So I feel confident in the legality of it, but I want to make sure that you guys are good with it, and then make sure that you don't want our general counsel to see it as well. So those would be the two questions before we send it to Ware Food Pantry. So that's what I'll do, unless you guys have something you want to tell me to do otherwise.
Sounds good.
Last one.
Okay. All right.
Did everybody sign the consent agenda? So we don't have that again this week?
I didn't know.
Okay. Do we have 3 on everything?
We should, but we'll make sure we.
I thought we did last time too, so.
No, I just,
There
I
was
know
one
last
that
week-
wasn't.
I know last week I think you stopped, right?
Yeah, I stopped.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else on the administrator's report? Okay. That gets us to manifests. So I will motion to order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payables checks dated April 10th, 2025, as included in the following manifests. Payroll, $82,776.91. An accounts payable manifest, $60,945.44, for a total of $143,722.35. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Drury. Any discussion? All in favor say yes or yay?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 5-0-0.
I do have a cemetery deed that needs to be signed by all of you.
Okay.
Doesn't need a motion because it's got 5 signatures. And Bruce, I did change your name on there. On your minutes, I know, I added the verbatim, but you guys didn't get it. I think Janice might have been even here when I added it to the website. That was the 310.
Does that include the previous 310 edits as well? Okay. Okay.
Is that a yes or no?
No,
Does not?
that's not.
Okay. I was gonna say, we can add those. I would suggest if we do it, but, because none of us told Frank when he asked us to do it that we wouldn't do it.
That we wouldn't do it?
That we wouldn't do it. We didn't say that when we kind of left him with the impression that we would.
Yep.
Not having it in there, at least I can speak for myself only, it wasn't malicious in removing it. I mean, I totally forgot about it, to be honest. So, but I don't remember what other changes we made,
Yeah.
so,
I'm happy to add the other changes and make it the revised one. You can hold those, because you didn't see them anyway.
okay. So anything else on 310 then?
Not on those.
Okay.
If you were gonna go down through them, they went out late too.
Okay, so March 24. I did get a note from Helene Kirk. She wanted to make sure that in the discussion with senior transportation, that she's noted as a representative from Hand in Hand. She is a resident, but maybe we could put resident / representative from Hand in Hand Senior Center on line 41. And then that whole section, especially on the bullets, like the program requiring $8,000 annual funding, it just needs to be clear in the minutes, that is not the town. This is all Hand in Hand Senior Center working the SNHPC. They're just providing us awareness of what they're doing. I don't want somebody to pick these minutes up and think that we've obligated $8,000 from town, because we did not do that. So I don't know if there's a change to that introduction or something on line 44, maybe key points of what Hand in Hand is going to be doing with SNHPC.
Key points include what SNHPC,
Or maybe key points of what Hand in Hand and SNHPC will be doing.
do you want to add, like, no taxation or no tax dollars? Or,
Well, the only thing we did is said we'd put it on our
right,
website.
I'm just saying, no
Yeah,
tax
so-
dollars is,
Yeah, maybe it's clear that, maybe add that somewhere, I don't know how you wanna do it, but it just needs to be abundantly clear, this is not the town's program, and it's not the town's money being spent. I think it's a good service for citizens, but
Yep.
it's not us doing it.
I think the language that they use was something to the effect of the $1,000 that is normally a portion of the town is being covered by private donations.
I don't know. I just know that we're not paying for any of it, and we didn't say we'd pay for any of it in the future either,
Correct.
so.
should we say, with $1,000 from where covered by private donations through Hand in Hand? Would that make it a little easier too?
It's not through Hand in Hand, it was from the other towns and going
No,
directly to
the $1,000 from where, Helene got private donors to give the $1,000 for Ware's portion. New Boston's got a $1,000 portion, and the other communities fixed up the $6 additional thousand. So $1,000 is Ware's contribution, but it was donors, not, that's Ware's contribution. New Boston's got New Boston's contribution of 1,000.
Yes,
And then the rest is being picked up by other services that she talked about.
okay.
But I think it's by private donations, but Helene was the one that, the senior center really got the donations.
Okay.
Yeah, so as long as it's clear up front that all of these actions are being taken by them and SNHPC, them hand in hand and SNHPC. I don't know that we need to change the bullets, but that's just my, I'm only one person here too, so. Good to move on? Line 83, it's a personnel policy, not guidelines. And on line 102, I don't think we limited to just 6. I think we said as long as there's no charge, which we'll find out next week if we don't know that already, then we would want to list all the other parcels, with the exception of the 2 preceding bullets, the 2 for mobile home and 1 for Buzzell Hill. So consider the auction of the remaining parcels. Okay. Next one, I had a question on 114. 113-14, addressing gaps in previously undocumented appointments. I don't recall that discussion. Somebody want to refresh me? I didn't look at the video, but. I know we went through the appointments. Talked about the names, talked about the expirations, but I don't remember talking about any gaps in undocumented appointments from before.
I'd have to go back and look at it. I'm happy to if you want to. I don't remember
Okay.
gaps in undocumented appointments.
Uh, 123 to 125. I think that's an opinion that it resonated unilaterally with the board, so I would strike that last sentence. And
I had the same request.
there's no mention of me saying I think the interpretation would be just your copy. We're not deleting records, but don't know if you want to make any assumption there either, so.
Delete the last one.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you said 123, I think it almost goes as far back as 121. Like I went and watched the video and there wasn't a ton of back and forth or commentary from the board members at all.
So you're suggesting the last two,
The
not
last
just the last one?
two.
Anyone object to that? Okay.
No.
Um, 149 to 153. I would suggest deleting everything after the first sentence.
149 to 153, say that
Yeah.
again?
Yep. Delete everything except for the first sentence. I mean, it's just, we don't need to put in minutes that I requested my name have 1T versus 2.
I think she was doing that in other meetings as to
Yeah.
what.
So should this discussion right now not go in the minutes?
Well,
I think we had
A
that.
tiny bit of levity, I apologize.
minor amendments. I
Take
mean,
minutes after 9:30 anyway, remember?
yeah,
Meeting's over at 9:30,
yeah, okay.
10 o'clock.
168, 169, there's a correction there. Selectman Matthews is the lead with Drury as the alternate. And I'm not sure what to do with 178. I think there's a difference in recollection or opinion of what was done, but that discussion was a non-public discussion, so I don't want to get into what was said or not said in the non-public discussion. So I don't know if we should delete 178 to 192 or any parts of that. And 186 to 191 has to do with the ethics board, and their minutes have nothing to do with ours, so You know, I don't know if that concern was sent over to the Ethics Committee or not, so. Looking for some additional input here.
I did have a similar request on that first paragraph to at least edit it to be less of a factual statement and more of an opinion, because I certainly hold a different opinion.
My big concern is that it had to do with discussion related to non-public, so.
Like, deleting it's fine.
I don't think I said anything that was from non-public.
Well, we had the discussion about taking that action in non-public. So the action itself was derived from non-public. So that's my concern. So I don't want to talk any further about it. If we want to discuss the details of it, we should do that in a non-public. So. So I'm okay leaving the first sentence, raise concerns regarding the Ethics Committee meeting, but I don't really think anything more than that should be in there.
Be fine with that change.
Okay.
What are we taking out? The 180?
180, everything except for the first sentence.
Down to where?
To 184 or beyond?
What's that?
I was suggesting we're taking out to 184,
Okay.
and then it was a different topic in 186.
Yeah. I don't see anything that can't stay, I don't think, in 186 to 191. It's an opinion. Good with that? Anything else?
No. No.
Anything? Anything? Okay. Motion to approve the March 24th, 2025 minutes as amended. I will make that motion. Would anyone like to second?
Second?
Thank you, Selectman Drury. Well, any discussion? All in favor, say yes or yay.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed?
Yes?
Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-1-0. Okay. And March 25th, this was a joint meeting. I just had two things I'd like to add. It's the same thing on line 37 and 41. I believe I made those motions jointly because it was a joint meeting, so I think the motions should just be labeled joint motions. Other than that, I'm glad to see short one-page minutes.
Could you just, I'm sorry.
Line 37
Oh,
and line
I was like,
41.
what is she talking about? I'm on
March 25,
Oh,
sorry.
like, wow, mine has 8 pages. I don't know what she's talking about.
37 and 41 jointly motioned on both of those.
Yeah.
And then a technical question, does the Conservation Commission also have to approve these?
I think you had them do that the last time.
I think we did too, so I want to make sure that we're approving for us and there's still the step for them to approve for them.
They're meeting Wednesday.
Okay. You guys okay with that? Any, have any other changes? All right, so I will make a motion to approve the March 25, 2025 minutes from the joint Board of Selectmen Conservation Commission approval on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. I will make that motion. Does anyone like to second it?
Second.
Thank you, Selectman Drury. And all in favor say yes or yay?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 500. We just got the minutes for 31st out today. I didn't actually get a chance to review those.
That's fine.
I'm guessing I'm probably not alone.
Oh, got another pad of paper.
That brings us to Selectmen Committee updates. What do y'all have?
Nothing much other than the cemetery. I thought I was here 15 minutes early. I was here 15 minutes late. So I sat there and when 7 o'clock came, nobody was here. I decided to get out. And so they headed to Stone Building because I wasn't here to let them in at 6:30.
Ah,
So I was over there. I did go over there and attend at 7, so.
okay. And we talked earlier about the training for the broadcast. Do you want to train them, or you want to tell us who to train? Or should I just have somebody show up to the next meeting and you guys can figure it out then?
Yeah, I don't care who does it.
Okay. Is that something?
Does Tom know how to do it?
I would think Tom would be the one if he's willing to
See,
do
I think
it.
what the problem was, is getting in the
Get
building.
in the building.
So I thought Tom had done it before.
I
but
don't
can
know.
double-check.
I'm just assuming that
Yeah.
I was the one doing it, so I
Oh.
don't know if they know
Oh,
how to
really?
do it or not. But it'd be,
If they
quick
don't
10
want to,
minutes.
if they don't want to, I will.
I think they're meeting the first week in May next, is that correct?
Yeah, they're doing, I got an email about a work session on 23rd.
Okay. The work sessions, at least what they had been doing,
Yeah.
was they were doing a lot of document reviews, so they weren't actually broadcasting those because they were back and forth with, picking stuff up and
Right.
Yeah.
laying stuff out and looking at it. So
But I
it
could
really
ask
isn't-
Tom if he's I
Okay.
mean, if he's familiar with it, because I thought he was from the Finance Committee part. I thought he was,
Maybe,
but-
yeah, makes sense if he would. So you'll do
Yeah.
that in May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it on paper.
Okay. Any other committee updates? You gave us the one already, for planning board.
Yep.
The master plan. Do you have anything?
Nope, other than go back and redo some of our bylaws. We'll be having the park will be having the main meeting coming up here to vote on new officers.
Very good. Anything else? Okay. I think that then brings us to correspondence and other business. I did talk already about the Helene Kirk email regarding the minutes, so we've taken care of that. I had correspondence from Mike Zinkowitz, Cemetery Trustee Advisory Committee Chair. He has a question. Since we're the cemetery trustees, I don't know if he shared this with you or they talked about it before you got there. I don't know, so stop me if
Yeah.
if this is something that you've already talked about. How are upcoming burials going to be covered to ensure burial permits get to the town clerk's office for filing? So just from my knowledge of what they've talked about over the last year in the process flow, that's something the sexton would normally collect at the gravesite and bring it into the town clerk. We've had an opening for sexton for many years, probably, 2 now? And none of the Board of Selectmen or cemetery trustees can officially be the sexton, but I believe T.A. Bolton's been filling in for that role. Is that correct? So I think the question is that going to continue? I know we don't have anybody that's said they want to
Well,
be the
so when a
sexton.
family would call, like this family called, I don't mind going out. I will not, I tell everybody we don't have anything for sale on the other side of the road. Meaning, I'll go show you the pine ones, because I know where those lots are. The Pine Grove on the Noose when you turn into Buzzell. Those are fairly well marked. I've been around the cemetery long enough and showed a lot of the cemetery plots. I'm pretty familiar where all those are. This woman that called, actually, he's being buried Friday. So I kind of took it upon myself in the cold, and we went out and we found the markers. She found the spot, and that's where you got that.
Okay, so
So
on Friday,
I've
will
made
you
the
collect?
connection. Well, I've made the connection with the funeral home,
Uh-huh.
and I've made it with Dignified. I can gladly follow up after and make sure that they get it. I wasn't going to the service.
Yeah, well, the burial permits should be collected and given to the town clerk.
Correct.
And I think in the last 2 years, we've only gotten 4 of them, and we've
Yeah.
buried more than 4 people.
Yeah, he
We
did do a very
collectively
nice
did.
job getting Dignified, the
Right.
ones that they performed, gave him the list. I don't know that it matched, but I think it was a great start.
I think it was an excellent start, but yeah,
Because
there's,
typically the gentleman from Dignified is off to the side and then they close it all up. So I don't know, in previous times, I've seen the funeral home send it to us. And I have a contact at the funeral home. I'm more than happy to make sure that we get it.
yeah, I think they're trying to close that gap so that we don't have
Yep.
to go and try and retroactively collect documents anymore.
Yeah, well, they all call the office when they want to schedule something, but
Okay.
this was in a little bit of a different need. Because now that you are back open, I will tell you that it's pretty frosty. I was concerned because you can tell it's frost when you walk around over there. So, I'm happy to help out, you know.
Okay. So I think the outcome is you'll collect.
Yeah, because I am always reaching,
Specific
I'm always
question.
the contact with
Okay.
the funeral home, and then I'm the contact with Dignified.
Yeah.
And then I can just make sure on my side that we get the burial permit afterwards. And then I can give it to Pam.
Thank you very much for doing that. I know it's yet another above and beyond thing.
Well, I went to school with her, so that was a
Did
little.
you? I'm sorry.
Mm.
This one's a repeat. The Army Corps of Engineers is having an open house tomorrow to kick off the process of their 1978 Hopkinton Everett Lake Master Plan. Open house is from 5 to 7. Public is welcome to drop by any time during that window, and it's at the Slusser, S-L-U-S-S-E-R Center, 41 Houston Drive, Contoocook, New Hampshire. Okay. And I have one new thing. I know when we discussed the budget, we said that the 1981, I don't remember the article number, but there was a vote in 1981 about the stone building and the Historical Society paying for that. There's also been a second vote to rescind that in 2007. So we probably need to investigate those two and see what, if anything, we need to do or undo from what we did in the budget. So
Okay.
it would be really nice if we had some searchable database that had all these votes in them.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we had everything in one place, but
Yeah,
it doesn't.
well, okay. What do you guys have?
So I missed last week's meeting with a work crunch, unfortunately, but I did watch it when I got some time. Wanted to thank Ms. Knowles for the training on the trust funds. It was great.
She's an excellent trainer.
Yeah. And then otherwise, if I followed correctly, I saw that Ray Menard was appointed to the planning board, but it seemed like his term expired in 2027, when it looked like it should have expired in 2028, based on 673.5, where we should appoint for 3-year terms.
Well, he was an alternate already, so the recommendation was just to change him from an alternate to a full member with the same expiration.
Right, I don't think we can do that. There are seats that we need to be putting people into those seats, and the seat that came up was a 2028 seat.
Because that was yours,
Right, and you appointed Ray to the 2028 seat, which would have been his
but an alternate.
alternate. I get what you're
No,
saying.
he wasn't a full, Ray LeMay,
Yeah, I know,
was
it's
an
too many
alternate.
Rays.
yeah.
Yep, and if I tracked it correctly, Ray Menard was appointed to a full
Right.
seat only until 27, when I believe that should be 28.
Okay.
again, that's 673.5.
That makes sense.
Two, the term of an elected or appointed local land use board member shall be 3 years. And then it talks about staggering and making sure that, so many appointments, basically that it is staggered. And that would put a lot in 26 and 27, when we need at least one in 28. So if no one's opposed, I would like to make a motion, and I suppose I will make a motion, to appoint Ray Menard to the planning board for a term expiring in 2028.
Currently from 2027, correct? Just for my.
Correct.
My notes, okay.
I'll second that motion.
Hopefully it's all right with him.
Too late.
Okay. So we have a motion to change the appointment end date for Ray Menard from 2027 to 2028, made by Selectman Bloom and seconded by Selectman Fillmore. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes or yay?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 500. Can you update his information?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Anything else?
Sorry, one last one. At the March 24th meeting, I was designated to oversee the acquisition of new voting machines. To kind of move that along, I did reach out individually to James, who's, I don't know if we call it an alternate, or at least, participating. So I reached out to James, the town clerk, and the town moderator, and haven't heard back from everybody, but the next step is figure out when we can all get together. And I suppose that will be posted, because it's not, I guess maybe that's the question. It's not a board or a committee or commission, but it is sort of a group of people that have been carved off to take on a task. And so when we do have a time, as long as nobody's opposed to this, I reach out to the town administrator and say, hey, can you post this? And I don't know, it's probably gonna be an afternoon sometime, and probably just go over to the town clerk's office.
And I did pull all the emails that I had from Maureen related to the topic. I believe there's just nothing in here as far as emails go, but there is one package of stuff that she gave me back from 2023 about the background, and I don't think you probably have that.
I
So,
do not have that.
But again, you're welcome to all that.
Thank you.
I did not make copies, but anybody wants
Yeah,
copies,
if you wanna hang out a minute afterwards, we could.
Sure.
Okay.
yeah, so.
And then I know nobody's gonna like this, but a conversation we had earlier reminded me that I could use just the absolute briefest non-public under L. Shouldn't be 2 minutes.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
No. All right.
we're gonna have starting meetings earlier. That's crazy.
Agenda for next week, we've got the Chase Park hiring, the 10 new only,
Yep.
Q1 financial review, master plan survey update. I think I missed something,
That's all
but
I had.
that was it?
And there was traditional, I don't know what the
Right.
consent agenda and the other.
Right. Okay. All right. So you want to go into L? This is tonight, now?
Yes, please, very,
Okay.
very briefly.
Okay. I will make a motion that we enter non-public under 91A 3, 2, L.
Second.
Is that 2 or 3? 3, should be 3, 91A 3. For purposes of legal guidance, I assume, since it's L.
Yep.
This requires a second and a roll call vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Matthews, yes. Knapp? Blum?
Yes.
Drury?
Yes.
Fillmore.
Yes.
Motion passes. We're in non-public.